Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 502. We don't need another hero. And you'll find out why I said that as his title. You probably figure it out because you're not stupid. Anyway, this is my show. It is May 27th, 2023, 11:43 p.m. Currently here in Reisterstown, Maryland. The temperature is 58 degrees, mostly cloudy out here. It is Memorial Day weekend. It is a 3-day weekend for most people. And yes, we all remember why you don't need to keep reminding us why we have the 3-day weekend. We know it's Memorial Day. We know that it's to remember all the soldiers we lost in our various wars and skirmishes. And that's really all it is. Veterans Day is the celebration for those who survived and have retired from service, that have fought in service and stuff like that, fought for in war, stuff like that. And Armed Forces Day is for those who are still presently in the armed forces. So we have 3 holidays for the armed forces, as we should. None of us have forgotten why, we celebrate the weekend, so you don't need to keep reminding us. We know what this is all about. But yes, it is also true that it is a 3-day weekend, the last one that we get. 3-day weekend until Labor Day, because 4th of July could be really any time. This year it's on a Tuesday. So that's really, that's really it. So yeah, it's nice, that tomorrow is like Saturday part 2. And then Monday will be Sunday, and then we're back to work again. And the kids are prepping for their last few weeks of school as the summer starting to roll in here. And I'm getting closer and closer to my 50th birthday. So that is what's happening here. Some real good news from my mom. Last week, as you know, when I did my show last week, she had her lumpectomy, and they also took some lymph nodes from her to test them for cancer. She got her response back from that. There was no cancer in her lymph nodes. So as of now, she's cancer-free, knock on wood. And she still has to get radiation, but not till July, and for about 4 weeks, just as precaution to make sure that nothing has grown or will grow or whatever. And hopefully that's once that's over and done with, everything will be over with. This week we've got a lot of, it was Geek Pride Week. Actually, it was Geek Pride Day. It was May 25th. It was also Towel Day and a bunch of other stuff as well. But it was Geek Pride Week for the most part, because a lot of stuff being end of May is when a lot of before the beginning of May became the start of the summer movie season back in the 80s. The Memorial Day weekend was always considered to be the kickoff for summer movies, because it's also technically like the kickoff to summer here. Even though summer isn't technically until June 21st, but it's basically the kickoff for summer. So you get a lot of hugely popular movies that we're going to talk about here. And the WGA strike, the Writers Guild strike, which is still ongoing, get some more victims. But again, I'm all for the WGA getting what they want, so I'm not worried about that. But there are just a lot of productions shutting down because of it. There are some productions that are starting, but are being hamstrung by the rules of the WGA. We'll talk about those as well. Josh Allen of the Bills has a new girlfriend, and I must say I'm slightly jealous. We've got some fun stuff also, fun stuff, food stuff, toys, stuff like that, some football. Quentin Tarantino can't keep his mouth shut. He's all over the place this week's episode. I know what that is. Just need to B movies, Mortal Kombat, not only Mortal Kombat, the movie sequel, and the Mortal Kombat video game are all over the place here too. All kinds of stuff. So new Netflix stuff, all kinds of stuff. So to begin our kickoff to summer week, I found Sprite Limonade Legacy. I didn't know if I was ever going to find it, but I did find it today. So I'm going to give this a try. It's outside. So here's hoping it is carbonated. So it's like carbonated lemonade, I would assume. Yeah, I mean, it tastes like Sprite and lemonade mixed together into a carbonated, like, sort of Sprite thing. So It's pretty good. It's refreshing. Kind of like it. So, if you like lemonade, yeah, and Sprite, it's a good combination for you. So there you go. You can really get the lime aftertaste is in there as well. So that's pretty cool. So let's get moving. First up, the big news. Tina Turner, the Queen of Rock, passed away on Thursday, I believe. Yes, probably Thursday at the age of 83. She had a huge impact on the music industry. She was a part of a group with her abusive ex-husband, Ike Turner. They rolling on the river, stuff like that. And then she broke away from him and in court, took him to court for all of his years of abuse and won. And she went out on her solo career, found a good man and married him and was still married to him at the time of her death. And she had a massively huge solo career during the 80s. There's a great picture of, I guess it would have to be during USA for Africa when they did that stuff. It was a picture of her right in the middle, sitting on a chair, and all these other musicians like Paul McCartney and and Bono and David Bowie and Jagger and all them just sort of surrounding her as like she's their lord and master, their queen. It was awesome, and she did commercials with Bowie, and she did duets with Jagger, and she had a number of massive hits. Was a movie actress in a couple of movies. Had some good hits. My personal favorite Tina Turner solo hit is "We Don't Need Another Hero," hence the name of the episode from the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome movie, where she was technically the bad guy in the film. And then they did Angela Bassett played her in What's Love Got to Do with It, which is a biopic about her life. And Angela Bassett killed it in that role because she kills everything she's in. She's a wonderful actress. And Tina Turner approved of it. So it's it's the first real big major iconic death, I guess, of the year. I'm trying to remember if there's any other really big iconic one that hit us hard this year. This is the first big one I can think of. On the other end of the spectrum, Kenneth Anger also passed away this week. He is an underground, influential art film director. And I know Kenneth Anger because I've seen his stuff before. I took a couple of film courses in college, and one of them was, the Professor Adelstein, who passed away last year, absolutely loved Kenneth Anger and showed us a bunch of his stuff during our film class. And it's really weird, freaking bizarre stuff. Sorry, I just pulled out my nail. Weird, freaking bizarre stuff. But my friend Pat Gibbs, I think, is a huge fan of Kenneth Anger, and he was a very influential artistic filmmaker. David Lynch probably has a lot to say about him as well. Probably adores him too, because that's sort of David Lynch's style. So Kenneth Anger also passed away this week. Gary Kent, who inspired Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, died at the age of 89, was one of the inspirations. I know the other one was the guy who was Burt Reynolds' stunt man. And then Nicholas Gray, founder of Gray's Papaya Hot Dogs in New York City, died at the age of 86. Never had a Gray's Papaya, never knew they even existed until the movie Fools Rush In, when Matthew Perry's character said it's his favorite hot dog in the world. And it's also used at the end as a sign for him to return to his love, Salma Hayek. So, there's other deaths that we'll get into also, but the biggest one, yes, obviously was Tina Turner this week. To me, the biggest trailer that came out this week was probably the last, because it's coming out in about 2 months, Barbie trailer. This movie, when it was first announced, was intriguing to me, but I don't know if it was really one that I was like, I really want to go see it. But then I started hearing about everybody who was cast in it. So I started pictures from, behind the scenes stuff. And then, when you think about the talent involved with it And then when the first teaser trailer came out, I absolutely adored it. And then this one gives you a better idea what the story is, get a good look at Will Ferrell's bad guy in this one as well. And continuing to see, I've never been a big fan of Ryan Gosling. I always get him and Jake Gyllenhaal confused. But there's probably another one in there also. Is Ryan Gosling in The Notebook? Or is that somebody else? Let's check that out. Yeah, it was Ryan Gosling was in the Notebook. So have never been really a big fan of Ryan Gosling, but he looks absolutely like he's having a blast in this film. And Margot Robbie is just absolutely adorable, and just a wonderful cast, a great premise that we've kind of seen before, but it's still going to be fun to see. And Greta Gerwig is no novice filmmaker; she's a Oscar-nominated filmmaker. And I'm really excited for it. And I agree with Matt Damon is that Barbie's opening up against Oppenheimer, Chris Nolan's new historical epic. And the big talk is like, which one are you going to see? Which one are you going to pick? Who's going to win the box office for that day? And they asked Matt Damon that, who's in Oppenheimer. And he's like, dude, you can see 2 movies in a weekend. It's not like you have to see one. That's the end of the story. You can see one day, and you can see one the other day. It's not a competition. It's filmmaking, you know? And I have to agree with Matt Damon on that. So that's kind of interesting as well. So that's a pretty good thing. It was a great trailer. If you haven't seen it yet, absolutely. As I said, it tells you, pretty much gives you the idea of what the storyline is. And again, it's one that we've seen a million times before, but it still looks absolutely entertaining because it's a different take on the fish out of water cliche that it is. It's never been any secret. Well, maybe it is. Maybe I never really talk about it too much, but I love tiki bars. And I've never really been in one before, but I just love the idea of tiki bars and the music that plays there and just the whole tiki atmosphere. And one of the America's oldest tiki bars out in Hollywood is called the Royal Hawaiian, is getting a full restoration and will be reopening because it apparently shut down a long time ago, because tiki bars were huge in the 50s and 60s, and then they sort of waned in popularity, and then they're starting to come back a little bit more now. I got my tiki Hawaiian shirt ordered. It'll be here within the next few weeks. Takes a while. It's from overseas. Takes a while to get here. So I hope to have it in time for my birthday party, actually, which I'm going to have on the 24th of June. They say it's going to be between the 9th and the 17th. So it'll be good about that. So I'm good to have that. And I'll probably wear it on the show one time too, because I really like the tiki stuff. So that's kind of interesting. So that's kind of cool. Paramount got a judge to dismiss the $500 million lawsuit that the producers of the 1967 Romeo and Juliet film put against them. Due to them using nudity of underage actors. But Paramount was able to, overturn that, get a judge to overturn that deal. Don't know how. I don't really know much about politics, stuff like that. So I'm just going to let that brush aside. I guess it's okay, but I figured I'd let you know. Scientists have discovered 5,000 new sea creatures. Nobody ever knew existed. Now, they're not like, fish or stuff like that. They're like different types of clams and crabs and stuff like that, and smaller fish. And as you said, there's the ocean has barely been touched, so there's millions more of new sea creatures available, but 5,000 new ones have been discovered right now. In a sequel, I don't think anybody really was asking for, and I'll don't get me wrong, the first one is kind of funny, but we don't really need a sequel to it. Half Baked is getting a sequel, and Half Baked 2 is coming soon. Half Baked, for those who don't know, is Dave Chappelle, and I think Jon Stewart was in it, and there was a few other people. I can't remember their names that much, but it was definitely early 90s film, and it's a marijuana film, and it has its moments, yeah, but I honestly didn't think we need a sequel, but a sequel is on its way. So there we go. Rosa Salazar from Battle Angel Alita has been cast as Diamondback in the new Captain America movie, which absolutely makes me ecstatic because the Serpent Society is one of my absolute favorite villain groups in any comic series. And the fact there have been more pictures of other Serpent Society characters in this Captain America 4 movie makes me even more excited for the film. So it'd be great to see that. But it'd be nice to see Rosa Salazar, who was the main actress in Battle Angel Lita, pop up as Diamondback there. So this week also was the debut of Max. HBO Max is rebranding as just Max. And they're already in trouble because in movies and TV shows, stuff like that, they didn't really give the creators like credits and stuff like that. They just said a little bit at the end called creators and lumped all the creators together in one section so that they're not individually getting credited for the stuff that they created. It's a kind of a big foobar, and it's already a big black eye to them. So they're trying to figure out and fix that up real quick. So that just seemed like really kind of a dumb thing to sort of do, but who knows? People don't really know much right there. Haley Steinfeld from what is that? From the Hawkeye movie, Hawkeye TV show, obviously, but there's the one movie that I like, Something at 17. She's also in the Bumblebee movie as a singer. Actually, I think she's had some singing also experience as well, and she's fairly attractive too. Haley Steinfeld. Pitch Perfect 2, Edge of 17, that's what it is. True Grit, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, she's the voice of Spider-Gwen, stuff like that. She is apparently dating Buffalo Bills star quarterback Josh Allen, so that's kind of cool. They're a cute couple, and Haley Steinfeld is very cute, and Josh Allen is a good quarterback, so it's going to be a good meaty story there for a while, so that's good on that end. I talked about Will Ferrell earlier in the Barbie movie. Well, he's got his next role lined up also. He will be portraying John Madden, but not in a John Madden biopic, which when I first read that, I was like, oh, that'd be awesome to see him in a John Madden biopic. No, he's not doing a biopic. He's just basically going to be focused on one aspect of John Madden's life, and it's going to be Madden's impact when he created the Madden NFL video game series, and it's going to focus on the creation of that, and Madden is going to be the main character about it, how it came to be and all that stuff, and they'll probably focus on some of his other football work and stuff like that. But Will Ferrell as John Madden, I think, is actually absolutely brilliant. I think that's a really great aspect as well. To the anti-woke haters out there who were screaming bloody murder when they revealed that the live-action Ariel in the Little Mermaid movie was going to be black, played by actress Halle Berry, not the same Halle Berry who's been around for a while. This is a different Halle Berry. Guess what? All your bitching and moaning and screaming about wokeness or being woke and all this bullshit, no one cares. You're fucking racist assholes. And no one cares because Little Mermaid opened this week, and right now it has between a possibility of a $105 to $125 million opening here in the States alone, which is more than the Fast and the Furious 10 had for their opening weekend. So suck on that, you anti-woke assholes. Dumb shit. So there we go. Sorry, I had to get that out of my way because I found it absolutely horrendous. These people were being racist assholes, and it didn't work, you little shits. So congratulations to them as well. Adeline Rudolph has joined Mortal Kombat 2, the movie Mortal Kombat 2, as Katara. It was Mortal Kombat. The original movie came out during the COVID era of 2020 on streaming, stuff like that, became a hugely popular film, and enough so that they are greenlit a sequel to it. And I talked about last week, Kurt Urban is involved with it as well. I think it's Kirk Urban, whatever. The Urban from, Star Trek and Doom and The Boys and stuff like that. Keith Urban. No, he's the singer. I think it's Kurt Urban. Brent Urban. I don't know, Carl Urban. That's what it is, Carl Urban, and also the Lord of the Rings saga as well. He's yeah, Adeline Rudolph has been cast as Katana. I'm sorry, Katana in Mortal Kombat 2. John Wick's got a bunch of news here. A John Wick video game is in the works, which makes absolute perfect sense because, who doesn't like, having like an action thing where you go and you shoot people and kill people and run around and take on these great fight scenes. And it looks like a video game anyway, so why not make a video game of it as well? And also John Wick 5 is in the works, which, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen John Wick 4, John Wick dies at the end of John Wick 4. So how are they going to do John Wick 5? Don't know, but they say it is in early stages of development, so we will see if that actually comes to fruition. Again, probably wouldn't see it till 2025 anyway, even with the Writers Guild strike going on. Who knows, could be even longer than that. Speaking of the Writers Guild strike, we've got a couple of stories about that. First up, Thunderbolts has stopped production due to the WGA strike, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to that film. But again, I'm for what the WGA is striking for. But I also believe that's also the reason why Disney has held back a lot of their movies and TV shows that are already done, is that there's going to be product next year when things are going to be a little bit slim pickings due to the strike here. And also, Amazon Prime's Blade Runner 2099 series has shut down production for at least a year. I don't think it's entirely due to the Writers Guild strike, but there are other aspects to it, but it has shut down for at least another year. So that has just pushed that date back even further. So who knows when that one's going to come out now as well. And then the last one, let me just make sure I'm not missing any other ones here. No. The last one is not really a shutdown of production. In fact, the production started this week, but there is some ground rules. Deadpool 3 has started filming this week with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine, and basically every cast member from the previous Deadpool movies, with the exception of Josh Brolin's Cable. I don't think it's been announced yet, and also the dude who the racist, sexist, abusive comedian guy who was his bartender friend, whatever. He's not in it either, but everybody else is showing up in it. His X-Men friends and the blind lady and the cab driver and stuff like that. And Domino is supposed to be in it as well. And his girlfriend is in it too. But here's the funny thing. Ryan Reynolds cannot ad-lib without violating the WGA's strike. So he has to go strictly by what the script says. So we'll see how that actually works out, because part of the whole thing was Ryan Reynolds' ability to riff on certain things. And also in the Deadpool 3 news, potentially Halle Berry has sort of the other Halle Berry, the one who's been around for 40, who's like 40 plus years old, who played Storm in the original X-Men movies. There's rumors about that her Storm will be returning in this movie as well, because she has been seen in interviews sporting the Storm haircut, and people asking her about it, and she's very cryptic about it. So she potentially could be in the film as well. Pet dog digs his way to safety after 3 days trapped underground. Somehow he got lost and got trapped underground, heard his masters calling him, and used his little abilities to dig out and survive after 3 days. So that's great for him. A huge Roman mosaic was discovered under a farmer's field in Turkey, which is a hugely unusual thing to find, but okay. There we go. Kurt Cobain's smashed Fender guitar fetches $595,900 at auction. Flaming Hot Cheetos and spicy sweet chili Doritos flavored Jack Link's beef jerky, can you say that all in one breath, is coming out now. So if you like those flavors and you like Jack Link's beef jerky, you can combine them now and then have all of that together. There's the giant inflatable Lapras, one of the cutest and best characters in Pokemon. There's now a giant inflatable Lapras you can ride around on the ocean, or not the ocean, the pools and lakes and stuff like that. 1,000 Legos that look like astronauts traveled to the edge of space in a stratosphere balloon and returned safely. So they have a picture of these 1,000 mini figs that look like astronauts with the Earth behind it. So I think that's kind of cool that happened. Tostitos has a limited summer stars chip. So buy them before they go out before summer starts, because that's how it always seems to be at like Targets and Walmart, where they put the holiday stuff out early, and when the actual time for the holiday comes, there's nothing to get. Morphid, Claire, Eddie Morrison, and Soapy Dirish are in a revenge thriller called Uncle. I've never heard of any of those people, but apparently people know who they are because they mention them in this. Anniversaries, we have Top Gun Maverick was 1 year ago, opened 1 year ago this week. Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1, popped out a year ago, debuted a year ago today or this week actually as well. Indiana Jones and Last Crusade debuted in 1989 during this week. So that's 89, 99, 2009, 2019, 34 years. So good on that. And Return of the Jedi, my personal favorite Star Wars movie, number 8 on my 500 movies of all time list, higher up than Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi debuted May 25th, 1983. That makes it 40 years old this week. My personal favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Okay. I've been putting off enough. This is into the next day. It's after midnight, so I can go on a little bit of rant or whatever. I have it's not really a love-hate relationship, but there's just something about Quentin Tarantino that I like some of his stuff, but I also hate a lot of the stuff that he does. I hate his attitude. I hate his thinking he's better than everybody else, but I like the fact that he was a non-film school trained director who lucked into a lucky break and became one of the most popular film directors of all time. Called him avant-garde, so like that, and he let that shit go to his head, and he became sort of an intolerable asshole. Still is a little bit. Pulp Fiction, that everybody screams and loves, is one of the greatest movies of all time, is overrated to me. Is overrated to me. I honestly am not the biggest fan of Pulp Fiction. I don't see why everybody likes it so much, and I think it has to do with the fact of the way that he sets up the story with it's all over the place sort of thing that makes it a unique sort of thing, and everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. It's like, okay, yeah, it's great, it was a neat idea, but okay, give us something a bit more, substance like that. But then he makes movies like Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, the Kill Bill movies, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I end up liking, and he still makes shitty movies that I hate as well. So, and I just don't like his arrogant attitude and his elitist attitude, which popped out this week when he said that that Netflix movies are not real movies at all, and trying to use big words like zeitgeist and stuff like that. You can just go fuck off, Quentin Tarantino. Netflix movies are just as good as any other movies. And same to you. Fuck you, Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola, for hating on Marvel movies and action films. You can go fuck off too. I love a lot of, no, again, I love some of your work, but some of it is it's the same old stuff, really. And you have the temerity, and you too, Quentin, a lot of your stuff is the same old bullshit. Also, you have the temerity to complain about certain things and complain about Netflix movies destroying the zeitgeist and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think you need to know what that even fucking means. And destroying cinema and stuff like that. Look, they did what they could during COVID. Did you want people to go to the movie theaters to get COVID and die so they could watch your shitty movies? Or, and if you have you ever actually been in a movie theater when it wasn't a premiere? Have you actually gone like on a Saturday at like 9:30 p.m. at biggest theater in Los Angeles or wherever to see how people actually react in these movie theaters? It's expensive. Particularly out in Los Angeles, it's expensive. You have to leave the house and you have to traverse Los Angeles traffic. Head downtown. It's dangerous out there. And then you go and you got to buy your tickets, which are expensive. You got to buy food, which is expensive. And then, you go to the movie theater and then people are talking or on their phones and, making all that stuff. And you can, barely, and sometimes you can barely hear stuff because the sound is either too high or too low. There's no closed captioning on it, and it's an experience. Ooh, whatever. But you know, home movies is not bad. It's still movies, and to shit on people's dreams of making movies because they don't fit your elitist view of cinema, well, you can just go suck my dick, you piece of shit. It's filmmaking. It's not your place to tell people what is. You can have your opinion, and that's fine, but you have a bunch of elitist asshole cinema shitheads who will take it as gospel and will scream their heads off about how terrible the state of movies are, and it actually isn't. No. The one thing I disliked about Steven Spielberg is they said Top Gun Maverick was the one that saved movie theaters. No, it was Marvel and other action films. And Top Gun was part of that as well. That did help, but it wasn't just Top Gun alone that helped save movie theaters. It was people going to see the Marvel movies out in movie theaters because they wanted to see it. Spider-Man No Way Home. Have you forgotten about that one, Steven? And that came out before Top Gun Maverick. And that made over $1 billion. So why don't you just, make your films? You're a great director as well. And that's what pisses me off, is that these great directors get all elitist when it comes to certain things. And it gets really annoying and pisses me off. And, Scorsese's got a movie that I read, Killers of the Flower Moon. I read the book it's based on, love the book, and I'm intrigued to see the movie. It's on Apple. It'll be on Apple Plus TV eventually, but it's going to be in movie theaters first. But that's the thing also. It's going to be in movie theaters for a little while, then it's going to go straight to streaming, Stuff is going to end up on streaming anyway. You get extra money for stuff going on streaming, or you should anyway, or that's what the WGA is striking about. And am I going to see Killers of the Flower Moon? I might. It's a fucking 3.5 hour long movie, and I want to see their version of it. But then I've been reading reviews of it, and they're sort of ignoring the Indian aspect of it and focusing more on the ones who are the bad guys in the story. And I guess that's okay because it's an interesting story, but I'd like to see everything together. Coppola's got his dream movie coming out probably next year, which honestly I have real desire to see. So there's that. And Quentin is like rattling on about how great he is, that I'm only doing 10 movies and I'm done. He's already working on his 10th one. And then he's also going on to say, I could direct some TV shows that are probably going to be on Netflix, you asshole. So just, you can make your comments, fine. That's fine. You go ahead and make your comments, but just declaring that Netflix movies are shitty or bad, or the Marvel movies or superhero movies, action films are not great cinema, just lay off. All right. You can have your opinion, but you don't have to spout it off to everybody. I don't spout off my opinion to everybody because hardly anyone watches this show anyway. So, and I'm going to bring up Quentin a few other times because he does have a few other things to say as well. And I'm going to make comments and as well. I hated that comment. I hate these elitist filmmakers who I like and who are great filmmakers, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it feels like they're letting their fame and their popularity and stuff like that get to their head. Look, I love Coppola's wine, but honestly, Coppola really hasn't made a good movie in a long time. Megalopolis may or may not be a good movie, but it's his first movie in close to 20 years. He stuck around and did his wine. His wine is excellent, by the way. But whatever. So yeah, I just said that. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, he doesn't rule out directing TV series, which, hey, direct network series, I highly doubt they'd let you do what you want to do because you've already tried that with X-Files and a few other things as well. It didn't quite work out. Now did it? So where's the next place you go? Oh yeah, streaming. It might not necessarily be Netflix. You think Apple is more elite than Netflix, or is Paramount more elite than Netflix? Whatever, dude. Whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. And also, he reveals he had plans for a James Bond movie. Well, good for you. You also had plans for a Star Trek movie, and both of those probably would have been a disaster because you really only have one filmmaking, cliche. I mean, your movies all tend to have the same sort of shit in it. They have different stories, and some of them are good stories, but you also throw in your usual bullshit you always do. And I just didn't want to see that in my James Bond or Star Trek movies. So I think that's all I have to say about Quentin Quentin Tarantino. I think it's all the news I have for him. Here's another guy who is elitist asshole, but it's not really elitist because he's the guy who has been, helping get people into theaters as well, which I don't understand why, because his latest movies are shitty. But I have mad respect for some aspects of him, but I find him an arrogant asshole. James Cameron revealed this week that he is writing a new Terminator film. We'll see how that actually works out. Apparently Avatar 3 is about done because Sigourney Weaver said they're working on reshoots of that right now. So I guess that'll be coming out within the next year or so. But it should be interesting to see what James Cameron has in store for Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger said basically he's not going to do a Terminator movie ever again. So we'll see. I guess even with James Cameron involved, I guess he's still going to stick to his guns about that. Speaking of Arnold, this isn't on my list, but I mentioned his Netflix show Fubar is number one with a bullet this week as one of the biggest hits Netflix has had in a long time. So congratulations to Arnold and for Netflix, who, hey, you're gonna scream about Arnold Schwarzenegger being on Netflix. Yeah, it's not a movie, but it's basically an 8-hour movie, 6-hour movie, whatever it is, just divide up into parts. Fucking Quentin Tarantino asshole. Strange clouds have reappeared over Arcia Mons volcano on Mars. The scientists seem to have had this, said they've discovered some sort of figured out the reason why it's there, but the fact that it's over a volcano is leading potential conspiracy theorists or other people to believe that the volcano might actually be active, and that cloud is actually smoke from the volcano. So we'll see what happens from that. Speaking of Mars, ultrasound signals, scientists have been using them to test on mice, and they put mice into torpor-like state, which I guess is almost like a suspended animation sort of state to be in. And they saw that worked for mice, so the scientists are contemplating maybe trying that on humans on their trip to Mars, because it would be a good few months. Was it 5, 8, 10 months, 12 months, whatever it is to get to Mars? It wouldn't be 4 or 5 months. It's longer than that. It's like 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, month and a half, 18 months, something like that. They're thinking they might try that on any astronauts who are heading towards Mars, instead of having them wait for a year and a half or whatever, to put them into sort of the suspended animation like they've been talking about by using these ultrasound signals. So we still have time, because their goal now is to have humans on Mars by 2040. So that's still a bit of a ways away. Not that much if you think about it. It's 2023, so it's less than 20 years. So they say in 17 years, we should be able to have people on Mars. So we'll see what happens. So we got 17 years to see what's going to happen. John Waters gets an honorary degree from the University of Baltimore. That's kind of local news around here. John Waters is local boy made good. He probably was also influenced by Kenneth Anger, who passed away this week as well. And it's great that he got himself an honorary degree, because this is the graduation time now. So there's lots of graduation stuff going on right now. Here's another story. Mom gives birth and graduates with doctorate degree within 24 hours. That's kind of an interesting aspect as well. So congratulations to all the graduates out there, and to the celebrities who getting their stuff. Other local news we have is also, before graduation, you do your senior prank stuff. Local high school, Meade High School, they were surprised to see the school pop up on a real estate website as being for sale. Apparently it was a senior prank, where the senior prank, they created a real estate listing for their high school and put it on a real estate site. That's actually fairly clever. I have to give them credit for that. I think that's hilarious. It's pretty cool. Daniel Day Kim to star in Butterfly for Prime, which is based on a Boom Studios comic. Again, a former friend of mine, co-worker, Philip Sablik, is one of the bigwigs over at Boom, and he's really doing a great job. He's getting a ton of his stuff, done for movies and TV shows. He's working with Keanu Reeves and stuff like that. That's pretty cool for him. So he's got himself a pretty good career there. going on. Citadel, the new secret agent show that's on Netflix or Amazon. I think it's Amazon, actually. It's Amazon. Has already gotten a season 2, and it's from Anthony and Joe Russo as well. Has gotten a season 2 pickup, and also a spinoff will be coming out from the show as well. So you'll be seeing more and more Citadel in the near future. The iconic Brady Bunch house in the suburbs of Los Angeles is now for sale on Zillow for $5.5 million. Now, originally, when the show was filmed in the 70s, they were just using the exterior of the house as the house when they were doing the establishing shot for where the next scene was going to take place, and then the scenes inside the house were done on a soundstage down the street in Burbank, and that's where the actors were. So they just used the house as an exterior shot. Fast forward now to, I guess, about. It had to be before COVID or right around COVID, like 2019, 2018, may have been 2020 as well. I don't know. The remaining Brady Bunch actors and actresses decided that they wanted to do a reality show for HGTV, which had them refurbishing this house and to turn it into the Brady Bunch house. So they took out all the stuff that was inside this house and recreated the set inside this house. So if you buy this house for $5.5 million, you not only get the establishing shot house, the interior looks exactly like the Brady Bunch house, all the way down the 1970s shag carpet and color scheme. So if you're a huge Brady Bunch fan, you have $5.5 million, or you want to live in something like that, or maybe turn to a museum, I don't know, go ahead and buy it, but it is now available, and it is on Zillow, I think, Zillow, which is that real estate site that has these crazy houses up that you can take a look at, things like that. Dairy Queen is discontinuing their cherry dipped cone, and fans are not happy about that. Fans are never happy about something when things get discontinued, but I've never really liked the dipped stuff anyway, so it's the company's job. They do whatever they want. Honey Boo Boo. You all remember Honey Boo Boo? She was they had a reality show back in the early part of 2000 where she was one of these beauty queen baby sort of things. She's been competing in beauty contests since she was like 5 years old, and they decided to do a reality show because she's like a redneck sort of family and stuff like that, and it became fairly popular. I remember watching a few episodes of it. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a shit show, train wreck, whatever you want to call it. And it only lasted a few seasons, and then trying to cling on, once you're a reality star, trying to cling on to the reality stuff, the mom and the dad and the family members and Honey Boo Boo herself were all trying to do things. They would do like other reality shows and stuff like that, but they just sort of disappeared. Well, Honey Boo Boo has now officially graduated from high school. She graduated from high school this week. So congratulations to Honey Boo Boo there. Did I check it off? Yep, no, there it is. Boom. Jack Quaid is going to star in Companion, a science fiction thriller from the Barbarian team. Barbarian was one of those hit horror films that really took the world by storm last year, and that team is now going to be trying to do the same now for sci-fi thrillers, and they got Jack Quaid to star in it. A rare green fireball exploded over Australia this week. Gorgeous film footage of it where you actually see it, the shooting star and then the actual explosion. It's pretty wild to see that, but it was an actual fireball caught on film exploding, so it was kind of cool to see that. The Miracle Club trailer stars Maggie Smith, Kathy Bates, Laura Linney, and Stephen Ray. It is like an Irish-English sort of film that'll be coming out in movie theaters on July 14th, a week before Barbie and Oppenheimer face off. And I watched the trailer because it sounds interesting with that cast. And it's an interesting idea. It's a group of older ladies who are in like a little doo-wop band or singing group or whatever, enter a contest, and they win a trip to Lourdes, which is that religious site somewhere in England, I guess, and that supposedly helps cure things and creates miracles, stuff like that. And I'm not sure the relationship. I don't know if it's a strange daughter, granddaughter, or whatever, played by Laura Linney, shows up and goes with them and turns their life upside down, stuff like that. And then the husbands who've been relying on their wives to take care of them now take care of themselves, and they can't do it. It's an interesting sort of English-Irish sort of film. Definitely an intriguing film. Probably won't see it in movie theaters, but it might be one that I might pick up, like a Waking Ned Divine sort of one of these foreign films that you're like, oh, okay, it's got a great cast, an interesting premise. Fun to see Maggie Smith speaking a little more Irish than English, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens. Suzumi, which is a new Japanese anime that's been making its way into movie theaters, from the creator of Your Name, which was a hugely popular anime also, has made $320 million internationally. Now, it barely made a squeak here in the United States, but worldwide it's made $320 million, which is fairly impressive for a anime, which makes it one of the highest grossing animes out there right now. So good for them. I did write that down. I already checked it off. Okay. Idris Elba is going to be doing a TV show for Apple TV. It's called Hijack, and it's a done in real time, sort of like 24 sort of aspect, where Idris Elba has to stop a airplane hijacking. And that's a premise, really, for the most part. So there you go. Where is that marked off? I can't even see where it is. Oh, there it is. And Suzumi is, I did that one too. Tamura Morrison, who played Jango Fett, played Boba Fett, and all the clones in the movie version of the Clone Wars, will be reprising his role. Well, not reprising, he never did originally, but will be doing the live action version of Captain Rex, one of the more popular Star Wars, Clone Wars / Rebels characters in the new Ahsoka TV show, which is now turning more and more into a live action Rebels sort of show, because Dave Filoni is in charge of all that. So of course he's going to try to do something like that, but it'll be neat to see the live action versions of all that. So it will be cool to see that. And hopefully Tamara Morrison will be able to act it so that it's different than all this other stuff as well. This is the third Christmas horror movie announced this year alone. A creature was stirring. Chrissy Metz, Scout Taylor Compton are going to be starring in this Christmas horror film. I think it's done, and it got a distributor. It'll be coming out probably this Christmas, but it's the third Christmas horror film that was announced this year. So there's something wild about that. The Washington Commanders just got new ownership, and now under the new ownership, they tried to trademark the name Commanders, and the trademark was rejected. So that could possibly mean that they might have to rename the team again for the third or fourth time. So that's to be continued with that. Man invents an app that tells him when his fly is open. I almost thought for a second that was a Onion Store or one of these other types of websites that do these types of fake news sort of stories. No, this is a real one. So yeah, okay. Next Easter. We're already talking about next Easter. Last Easter just dropped about a month or so ago. We're talking about next Easter now, 2024 Easter. Hostess will be releasing Hostess flavored jelly beans, which means you're going to get your Twinkie flavored jelly beans, your cupcake flavored jelly beans, or snowball flavored jelly beans, so on and so forth like that. So those will be coming out next year. So you'll probably hear more about that as we get closer to Easter of 2024. So to be continued, obviously, and we'll see if I can grab see how those taste. Could be really interesting. Thinking of something else that's really interesting. McDonald's apparently has a chicken McNugget style Tetris device. It's shaped. Chicken McNugget shaped Tetris device. It's an actual, again, not a fake news commercial or whatever. It's an actual thing. I don't know how you get it, but it only plays Tetris apparently. So it's not like a Game Boy where you can play different games, but it's just like a Tetris game, but it's shaped like a McDonald's McNugget. I guess there's a market for that. I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Sounds weird to me anyway. Another WGA aspect. Again, Amazon getting hit again. Spider-Man Noir and the Silk TV shows that Amazon had set in production have now stopped production due to the WGA strike. So we'll see how that goes as well. Anniversaries. It's Geek Pride Week. So the whole reason for Geek Pride Week and Geek Pride Day, May 25th, was because Star Wars came out May 25th, 1977, and is 46 years old this year. Alien also came out on May 25th, but in 1979. I started thinking about this. Like, how could that be possible? So apparently Star Wars came out May 25th, 1977, was on a Wednesday. And it would make sense 2 years later, make it a Friday when Alien came out. Alien was released in 1979 on May 25th as well. Brewster's Millions came out this week in 1985. A great Richard Pryor, John Candy film, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet. And Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, we talked about Last Crusade came out this week also. Temple of Doom came out this week as well, back in 1984. So that makes it almost 40 years. No, 30 years. No, 40 years. It's almost 40 years. It'll be 40 years next year. So it's 39 years this year. 40 years next year for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So we'll probably talk about that as well. And then one of my favorite movies as well is on my list as well. I can't remember the number it was, but Casper came out in 1995. So that makes that 95. Let's see, 94 would be 30 years. 33 years ago. Or 30, yeah, 33 years ago. And Solo also came out around, I believe, around May 25th as well. The Han Solo movie came out 5 years ago this week as well. So again, that's why it's kind of like Geek Pride Week, because of all this type of stuff coming out. Deaths this week, we have Bill Lee, which is Spike Lee's father, who was also a bassist and composer who composed a lot of music for Spike's movies. He died at the age of 94 this week. Kirk Arrington, Metal Church drummer, dead at the age of 61. And Algie Ward, Tank founder, dead at the age of 63. So that's that on that page. Next page. More anniversary stuff. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, The Lost World, the sequel to Jurassic Park, which is not as good as the original Jurassic Park, came out 26 years ago this week. Again, Geek Pride Week sort of stuff. X-Men Days of Future Past, probably the best of the Bryan Singer recent movies, came out 9 years ago this week. Mission Impossible 2 came out 23 years ago this week. And The Shining came out 43 years ago this week in 1980. And the only other death that we have on this page is Paris Hilton's beloved dog. Remember Paris Hilton from the late 90s, early 2000s, reality celebrity. Her favorite friend in the whole world was her little dog. The little dog, unfortunately, passed away. So we're sorry for your loss there, Paris. Justified, the hugely popular FX TV show, is getting a mini reboot sort of thing, and the first teaser for that came out this week. Jodie Comer's film The End We Start With gets its U.S. distributor from Paramount, I believe, will be distributing the film in the United States. Made the deal at Cannes, which was also wrapped up this week as well. The Addams Family Thing Chia Pet is a thing out there for real, so you have Thing's hand, and you can turn to a Chia Pet thing now. That's pretty cool. Sebastian Stan is said to be portraying Ric Flair in a biopic. Oops. So that could be interesting. Sebastian Stan's having quite an interesting career now, isn't he? Matt Berry is joining Jason Momoa in the Minecraft live-action movie whenever that gets off the ground. Gabriel Barris and Kiefer Sutherland have joined the cast of Juror Number 2, which is Clint Eastwood's final film. We had the Winnie the Pooh horror film. We've got the Grinch horror film. We've got the Bambi horror film coming up. How about a Cinderella horror film, Cinderella's Curse, horror take on the fairy tale is in the works right now as well. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken trailer from DreamWorks debuted this week. It's due out, I think, in July. It's an animated film. Looks interesting. Looks kind of fun. Definitely for the kids, obviously. I'll make this anniversary. And another anniversary is Blue Jeans are 150 years old this week. 150 years old for Blue Jeans. Holy shit. So Blue Jeans have been around for 150 years. That's a long ass time. Netflix is bringing the critically acclaimed May December movie directed by Todd Hayes, starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. Will be coming to Netflix. They bought it for $11 million at Cannes. It got a 9-minute standing ovation at Cannes, and is got some really good reviews of it. So Netflix bought it up and will be airing it shortly. Daisy Jelly, Clinton Liberty, Nina McCormick are going to be starring in a vampire thriller called Feed. Again, never heard of those people, but apparently they're big enough that they got a story. So there you go. The Wheel of Time Season 2 from Amazon is set to debut September 1st, which is good for my wife. She loves the Wheel of Time saga. She's not so hot on the series, but she likes enough and she'll keep watching. And the series is okay. I honestly don't remember much about it. So Star Trek Strange New World Season 2 trailer popped up. Comes out June 15th on Paramount and looks good. You also get your first live action look at the Lower Decks characters who are going to be popping up in an episode. So that's good. Some local news. Flying Dog Brewery has been sold. The Frederick location has been closed, which is a shame because Flying Dog is pretty good local beer. Don't know if this new owner is going to continue making it or is going to shut down and create something else. Sprite flavored Tic Tacs are a thing now. So there you go. Indira Varma, actress from Game of Thrones and Obi-Wan Kenobi, has joined the cast of the new series of Doctor Who in a row we don't know much about. The Flood trailer is the alligators take over a prison during a flood B-movie trailer. That came out this week. Cocaine Shark trailer came out this week as well. So you got your B-movies coming out this summer. Skull Island animated series from Netflix teaser trailer came out this week. It is based in the MonsterVerse that is currently reigning in movie theaters now. Robert Englund and Danielle Harris, two horror icons, will be joining forces in a horror film called Natty Knox in July. Nick Offerman, Nick Offerman, Dennis Quaid, and Jacob Tremblay are starring in a film called Sovereign. That's due out really soon as well. Mortal Kombat 1 is a new Mortal Kombat video game coming in September, and they're changing up their thing a little bit. Instead of you're going to get your regular Mortal Kombat characters, but they decided to take a page from Fortnite and stuff like that and add other characters from other media into the series as fighters. They've announced Megan Fox. I think the reason why they put her in there, so she said that Mortal Kombat was always one of her favorite video games, but they're going to make a character based on Megan Fox. They're going to make a character based on Travis Scott, who was also a part of Fortnite till he had his incident at his concert, and now he's nowhere to be seen in Fortnite. And Jean-Claude Van Damme has also been put in as characters in Mortal Kombat 1. Now, I know I have another Mortal Kombat 1 story here, so I'm just going to go see if I can find that here. Omni-Man, Peacemaker, and Homelander from The Boys are all also joining Mortal Kombat 1, the game as well. As I said, they're going to be doing characters, not only their Mortal Kombat characters from other genres and media and stuff like that, and live action people apparently. So Mortal Kombat 1's really building itself up to be a big a video game, and it could potentially be up there. I don't think it's going to sell as much as Zelda did, but it's going to probably be a big one. We'll find out more in September. how that rolls, and they're going to roll that stuff out. So it could be interesting to see if that is actually going to work. Mexico's largest active volcano has erupted this week, so maybe there's a connection to the Mars thing, that maybe their volcanoes also are erupting as well. A new Las Vegas neighborhood has named all their roads after Pokemon, which I think is awesome. Where do you live? I live on Charmander Square. I live on Squirtle Drive. I live on Pikachu Terrace. I think those are cool names, and I think I really should move out to Las Vegas and live in that place. And, we want to hang out at the corner of Charmander and Squirtle? Sure, why not? I didn't know this. Death Note is one of those weird, bizarre anime/mangas that my daughter has enjoyed, but it's kind of a horror, sort of weird sort of story. And they've done some live action versions on Netflix that haven't worked out too well. They're doing another live action version of it that hopefully will be better. And I think the guys who did Stranger Things are working on that one. But I was unaware that there's actually a Death Note musical. And apparently there was at one time, maybe when Death Note first came out, 10, 15 years ago. And it was, I guess, popular enough that it made a musical. It is going to be revived starting in London. So if it does well over there, it'll probably come back over to our side and have a release here. It might end up on Broadway again. So we'll see about that. Speaking of Doctor Who, one of the most famous episodes of Doctor Who was the Don't Blink episode, which introduced the Weeping Angels. It's one of the most popular Doctor Who episodes of all time. So, of course, they made a board game out of it. So it's interesting. It looks like it could be a very well done board game if it follows the rules of the Weeping Angels and the stuff like that. So, you need to get away from them before they suck you into the time vortex, stuff like that. The Witcher has a spin-off series coming up. Is actually starting filming now, and they've cast Dolph Lundgren in it. Don't know if he's the main star, but there you go. He's got a main role in that. Country Time Lemonade, which is one of the best lemonades out there. That's mostly the powder lemonade that you put into your containers during the summer. Put some water, some sugar, and you mix it all together, and you get the great lemonade. Well, they now have a cotton candy flavored lemonade, which is intriguing to me because you can make really, I guess, any flavor of lemonade you want. Strawberry lemonade is good. Blueberry lemonade is probably interesting. Raspberry lemonade is good. So really, you can add anything. And cotton candy is just, it's an intriguing idea for cotton candy lemonade. I mean, you can make lemonade soda too. So I'm intrigued by it. And if I find a container of it, maybe I'll try it out. And finally, for this page, Mike Carlin, who's been around since the 80s started out as an assistant editor, then became an editor and was a writer and was involved in the Death of Superman storyline in the early 90s, has decided to call it a career. He's retired as a comics writer, editor, and is going to live on in his retirement doing whatever he damn well feels like after having a fairly good and decent career. So congratulations, Mike Carlin. Enjoy your retirement. A couple of squirrel stories. A squirrel rescued from a hurricane will not take a nap without her teeny tiny teddy bear that someone made for her. Guess when she was rescued, they wanted to take care of her, and she decided to stay with them like that. The Baltimore Orioles, my baseball team, went up to New York earlier this week, and during one of their games, fans who were sitting in the stands at Yankee Stadium, they were down on the low ground by the field. They have a fence, and there's like a little guardrail, and then the seats were back there. There was a squirrel that was running right in front of them, right there. So that's kind of cool to see that as well. Speaking of baseball, a Tampa Bay Rays baseball player was trying to go in for a bunt, and instead gets a ball lodged directly into his balls. So he's trying to bunt, but instead of it hitting the bat, it hits his balls. So he's okay, but that must have been extraordinarily painful. I wouldn't want to go through with that. Speaking of comic books, still there was in the late, I guess mid to late 80s, there was a popular toy called Rom. He was a robot sort of character. I think he might have had his own cartoon series, and the robot itself made noise and stuff like that. Marvel picked up the rights to make the comics, and it's got a fairly popular cult following, but you've never been able to see. They've never done really any trades of Rom or whatever. Well, they're finally doing a Rom omnibus coming out this fall, so that could be interesting to see that. A 7-year-old little league player was saved from a dust devil that just popped up while they were playing Little League by the umpire. So good for the umpire to be heads up about that sort of stuff. The Foo Fighters introduced their new drummer, Josh Freese. Congratulations to Josh. And Foo Fighters are never going to forget their old drummer, but they've got to move on, and hopefully they will have a nice long career now. They've got an album done with Josh, I think, so they're going and doing concerts now all over the place. Jude Law, here's some con stories. Jude Law created a perfume that smelled like blood, sweat, and shit to play the stinky Henry VIII character in a new movie called Firebrand, which did very well at Cannes. Who else is in it? There was another famous actress who was in it that they talked about her, and I can't remember who it is, but she's in it as well. But he created this to really get into the character. Okay. Caligula is one of those movies that was based on the Caligula stories and about a lot of sex and violent sex and greed and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And they made a movie about it, and it got banned by the Motion Picture Administration for the longest time. And then people have been wanting to see the ultimate cut of it. So the director went back in and recut it and created the ultimate cut that put back all the cut stuff in it, the vicious, violent, sexual, nudity, stuff like that, and released it at Cannes, where it got a pretty good reaction. So we'll see if we're actually going to see that anytime soon. But if you're fans of Caligula, there you go. It is quite a interesting film, I must say, and the ultimate cut should be really interesting to see that as well. Ethan Hawke has never been offered a role in an animated film. He's never been offered to do voices for any animated movies. And I think that's a crime because he's got a really cool voice, and I think he can really use it for a lot of different characters. You can get your everyman voice, and you can be a villain voice and stuff like that. I think he'd be a really good voiceover guy, and I kind of hope that now, after he mentioned that on an interview, maybe someone's going to say, hey, we could really use him for a Disney film or DreamWorks film or, Illumination film. I think it'd be great to see him to do something like that. So we'll see what happens. 62 new moons were discovered surrounding orbiting Saturn, which now takes the lead in most moons in the solar system. Saturn had the lead for a while. Jupiter had the lead for a while. Then Saturn took over the lead, and then Jupiter just took it over about a year or so ago, and now Saturn has taken it back over again. They now have 145 moons orbiting Saturn. So I'm sure there's more moons around Jupiter, but right now 145 moons orbiting Saturn. And that's not the rings. It's the moons on the outside of the rings, stuff like that. So kind of interesting there. Carmelo Anthony, local product, famous NBA player who's never won a championship game, has announced his retirement from basketball. He was considered one of the best basketball players out there, but not necessarily the best. He was always in the discussion of the top 25 best basketball players of the times. Was always up there and always played the thing, but just never won a championship. So Carmelo Anthony has called it a day. Called it a career, and we'll see what he does next because he's still fairly young, actually. Continuing, Hollywood has run out of original ideas. Fox has announced that they will be doing a Prison Break event series, which I think they tried to do a couple years ago and it flopped. So they're doing it again, obviously. And a 24 spinoff called Legacy. Just sad. August 16th, Netflix has a new show called The Chosen One, which I believe, if I remember correctly, it's going to be based on Mark Millar's American Jesus storyline. The poster debuted with the date of when it's coming out. Has a boy like he's on the cross being held up by a bunch of people, and it sounds like American Jesus thing where it says a boy can miraculously turn water to wine, stuff like that. So I think it's going to be because Martin Millar had signed a deal with Netflix a long time ago and has never really had any of his stuff adapted for Netflix, but it's starting to percolate out now. So I believe this is American Jesus, and we'll find out for sure when it comes out. Well, as I said, we just got the poster. When we get closer to the debut, we'll probably see the trailer for it probably in the next month or so. Lego is in the news again this week. They have created a Pac-Man arcade set. So basically, it's coming out actually really soon. June 4th. It's coming out June 4th, next week actually. Basically, you build a Pac-Man video arcade game out of Legos, so that's kind of cool. So that's definitely one for the grown-ups for that. Kit Kat has a new flavor. It's churro flavored Kit Kats. Churro flavored ice cream that Ben Jerry's did was actually really, really good. So churro Kit Kats should be probably pretty good also. Ron Perlman and Rosanna Arquette are going to be starring in a horror thriller called Succubus. Terrence Howard, Christopher Lloyd, Tom Everett Scott, and Jenna Malone will be have been cast in a supernatural thriller called The Movers. So again, as I said, like last few weeks, I've been seeing a lot of these former late 90s, early 2000s stars who just really haven't done anything, starting to make their appearances again back in movies and stuff like that, and taking over roles from other bigger cast members. So we'll see how that goes. See, that continues to be good. The JWST space telescope detected water vapor around an alien planet. That means it could have some sort of atmosphere, could be a planet ripe with life. So we'll find out, but they're going to take a look at that closer. Again, we're going back to the whole thing where a movie comes out, it's fairly popular. Then someone decides years later to turn it into a musical. The musical becomes popular on Broadway, off-Broadway, stuff like that, winning awards and just getting a lot of viewers to see it. And then they decide to make a movie of the musical. We've seen it a million times, and we're going to see it again here. This is Oscar bait stuff because The Color Purple, Steven Spielberg directed the film. Whoopi Goldberg was in it, and Danny Glover as well. Came out back in the 80s and was a Academy Award darling, but didn't win anything. And so they decided to turn it into a musical. It did extraordinarily well on Broadway. Now, the movie version of The Color Purple musical will be due out on Christmas Day, and the first trailer for it came out this week. So it looks like your typical sort of movie musical thing, and got some good role, good cast members in it. So should be pretty good. As I said, graduation, stuff like that have been going on over the last few weeks. Boston University students booed Warner Brothers Discovery chairman David Zaslav, who was doing the commencement address at their graduation, and people were screaming, "Pay your writers," for the WGA stuff. So that's kind of interesting to see that happened, and he absolutely deserved to get booed for that as well. Anniversaries, we have Mission Impossible. The original one came out 27 years ago. Rambo First Blood came out 38 years ago this week. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas came out 25 years ago this week. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, awful movie, came out 15 years ago this week. Encino Man, with 2 Academy Award-winning actors, came out 31 years ago this week. Twin Peaks Season 3 debuted 6 years ago this week on Showtime. Terminator Salvation, which was actually a interesting take on the Terminator stories, which is what people were saying is that they should have gone and stuck with, instead of going back and doing the whole thing, sending the robot back in time to kill John Connor sort of thing. Terminator Salvation looked at the actual war between the humans and the robots. I think that'd be a very interesting thing to come back. This is the Christian Bale movie that he got most famous for, that for going off on a crew member. That came out 14 years ago this week. And Mad Max, The Road Warrior debuted 42 years ago this week as well. Deaths this week. Another one that sort of shocked a bunch of people is Ray Stevenson, actor who's been in Thor, Punisher Warzone, which is a sequel to The Punisher, and the new Ahsoka TV show coming out from Disney Plus, died at the age of 58 this week. Pete Brown, who co-wrote a bunch of Cream songs, including White Room, died at the age of 82 this week. Martin Amis, author of Money, dies at the age of 73 this week. John Giblin, a bassist who worked with tons of musicians, died at the age of 71 this week as well. Now we got a half page of stuff, and then we're done for, this is actually the last one for May also. My next episode takes place in June. So this is the last episode for May of 2023. So we're putting May 2023 to bed. Next week's episode will be June 3rd or 4th, one of those two. I got nothing going on that weekend, so it'll probably be the 3rd, which is usually that Saturday. So we'll see what happens, which is 17 days before my birthday. Sean Penn plays a jaded paramedic in the movie Black Flies. Lost Video was discovered has Carrie Fisher coming to rescue Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones from a leather-clad Barbara Streisand. I don't know what that's all about, but hey, it sounds like a really cool thing. Which we could see it. Tati Gabrielle has joined Mortal Kombat 2 as Jade, so we got another actress who has joined the cast of that. A G.I. Joe Transformers crossover film is potentially in the works. That could be pretty good. Could be a pretty big movie if done correctly, and could ostensibly spin off both G.I. Joe and Transformers into their own film series, and basically be as sort of a light reboot for both series. Now they're trying the new Transformers movie coming out late in June might be trying to do that, but to have a crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers, which has been done in the comics before, you just got to figure out a really good story to do it, could really be interesting. And as I said, could be the onus to split them off into their own film stories. This would be the one that sets it off, and then they do their own stuff. So I think that's a really, really great idea. Local news again, the University of Maryland Terrapins baseball team has returned to the Big Ten baseball championship game. So congratulations to them. Leroy Jenkins, is anniversary of 18 years ago this week. The finale of Angel aired this week. They didn't give the date. That was back in the early 2000s, I believe. And Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out 35 years ago this week. That's another one of those movies I saw on HBO. They aired it all the time. It's a goofy, silly horror film. They've created a video game that is not hugely popular, but is, popular enough. So they're doing a lot of good stuff. Final story of the day. Where do you think the scariest state when it comes to horror films is? Which state in the United States do you believe is the scariest state for horror films? Do you think it's California? Do you think it's Texas? Do you think it's Florida? Do you think it's Maine? Nope, you're all wrong. According to horror films, Michigan is the scariest state because it has the most horror films set in Michigan, more than any other state in the United States. A couple of key ones are the Evil Dead saga is set in Michigan. So there's that. We are done episode 502, just shy of hour and 20 minutes. So that's a good moving along here. It's a good thing I'm starting to move along here a little bit more. Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there. Take a moment to remember those who gave their lives for our country. Monday, my wife and kids are going to be doing a We Remember event at the local Reisterstown Cemetery. We'll be placing flags at veterans or dead soldiers' grave sites. So yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Memorial Day. As I said, take a moment to thank those soldiers who died in battle for us. And finish up your week, finish up your month of May. We're entering June now. We're about halfway through the year coming up, and we're entering my birthday month. So a lot of stuff coming through here. It's like the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. So those are the dates of the 24th. Maybe not so much this one, have my party, but we'll see. But we'll definitely be checking that stuff out. So June is coming quickly. May still has a little bit ways to go, but it's getting ready to close out here. So have a wonderful weekend. Remember those who died in service for our country, and thank you for your service. Thank you.